Okay, hello guys, I'm back and I'm going to show you different size needles, and I'm going to show you a needle that is around 22 inches long, and it's a green needle, and it came off of a tree that I had showed you in a previous video that was blown over by the wind. I believe it was the top of the tree was hitting the ground and it was dying, and the needles the needles were touching the ground, and the tree was the tree's going to die because it's blown over. And I decided, well, I'll just take the needles off of it, and I have them on a drying rack, and in a month, it takes a whole month for these green ones to dry up to be able to use them for basket weaving. But I just did that because I figured, well, the tree's going to dry anyway, because the tree's going to die anyway, because I never pick the green ones, really. I always pick them off the ground. I get them fresh, and I ship them out. And I pick them in my front yard and my backyard. But once in a while, you come across stuff like that. You'll see stuff like that. And, I got a 55-pound pile in my backyard here that's drying. And it's 65 pounds, but when it dries, it's going to be 55 pounds. And it's like $1,400 worth of needles. And it's going to take a whole month to dry. Now, in the meantime, I'll be picking. I'll pick more than that over the next month. I'll be picking 5 pounds a day. I'll pick way over that. That's a little backup thing. That's all it is, I guess. Okay, so the needles, what I'm trying to show you is these came out of my front yard. These needles here came out of my front yard. And the majority of them are around 15 inches and up. And they're from my front yard. And then on this side, these are like around 17 inches, 16 inches, and they also came from my front yard. But I'm showing you that the majority of them, this is probably around 1.5 ounces, probably around $2-3 worth of pine needles. Took me like 5 minutes to pick them, really quick. I just wanted to set up this demonstration for you and show you the different size needles, what I get. Because in my listings, I have 11 inches to 20 inches and on. But when I pick in my front yard, it's a majority of the needles are 15 inches. Now, when I pick in the backyard, they're like 13 inches. And all these came from the front. These other ones over here are 17 inches. And this one long one, you can see it's over. I have my tape measure out to 21 and a half, and that's beyond that. That's like, I'm guessing that's like 22 inches. And also, I know I mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it again. The needles come in 3 needle clusters. There's oh boy, here I am doing this again. Trying to show you. There's 3 needles on one longleaf needle, and it's a cluster, and that's how they come. 3 needles is 1 needle. And when I say I picked when I say there's 40 needles in a 1 ounce roll, well, there's 40, but there's 40 times 3. There's 120 needles in a 1 ounce roll. I mean, if it's 40. Now, some needles are thin, and the thinner needles, it takes more needles to make an ounce. So you could have up to 60 longleaf pine needles in a 1 ounce roll. And that 60 would be 60 times 3 would be 180 needles in that roll. But I just say it's 60. It could be, so I normally will say like there's anywhere from 40 to 60 longleaf pine needles in one 1 ounce roll. And then, you know, the 8 ounce rolls is way more than that. Well, I'm not going to get into that, but that there's more in it. It depends on how thick they are, how thin they are. And, what do I want to do? I want to show you another drying rack I have. There's another drying rack over here. And there's a lot of stuff in the yard. We have dogs and they're all over the place. Okay, this right here is a little 5-pound bunch. Watch out of the way, girl. Good girl. So there's a 5 pounds right here. They also came off of that tree on the drying rack over there, and the dying tree. And I just threw them over here. This is our other rack. Now this rack here, I could get around 40 pounds on it filled up. It used to be for our turtle. We have a turtle too. Oh, we have a lot of animals. And this rack can hold, it could hold like, I could put like 40 pounds. I spread them out. And normally what I'll do is after a windstorm, if there's a bad windstorm, I will come out with bags. I mean, I'll have big bags. And I will come out and I will pick and fill the bags up. And then I'll take the bags, I'll bring them over here by this pail here. And right now it's got pollen in it, water, and it's got a little vinegar in it, but I'll dump that out and redo it. But normally I have this thing filled up with soapy water. There is soapy water in that when it's fresh. And in that soapy water, there's a little bit of vinegar. And what I do is I'll take the needles that I pick out of the front yard after a windstorm, and I'll grab about 3-4 pounds of them. I'll dip them in there. I'll let them sit in there for a minute. And then I'll take them out of there, and I'll go over here, and I'll spread them out on this rack, on this drying rack. I'll spread them out. Like these are like spread out here. I did these quick. It was raining out in the day, and I just screwed these down real quick. And I covered them with something so they won't blow away. But normally I'll take my time. I'll spread them out real nice all along the rack. And I'll crisscross them so they get air between them and stuff. And then I'll cover them with something so they don't blow away. And I'll do that. I'll repeat. I'll fill a bag up 5 pounds, come back here, get it all soaked in the water and the soap. And then I'll bring it over there and I'll put it on a drying rack. And I'll repeat until I get like 20 or 30 pounds on that drying rack over the course of 2 days or more. Possibly 2.5 days if I'm doing it day and night. And then I'll do it some more, and I'll try to get like 40 pounds on that rack. And that's when I have an abundance of pine needles. I'll do that. Now, when I don't have an abundance of pine needles, what I'll do is I'll go out and pick a bag. I'll get a bag. I'll get 5 pounds. And then I'll bring it in the house. And I'll weigh out 8 ounces, and I'll put that in one sink filled with soap and water and a little bit of vinegar, and I'll soak them. And then I'll take them out of that sink. I have double sink, and I'll put them in the next sink, that 8 ounces, and then I'll spray them with the hose. And then I'll roll them. I'll roll them up. I'll roll them up with yarn, and I'll double tie it, and I'll have an 8 ounce roll. And then I'll repeat, soak another 8 ounces, do it again, repeat, do it again, repeat, do it again. Do it till I get like 10 rolls, whatever it is. The 5 pounds would be like 10 rolls. And then I'll take them rolls and I'll put them on a rack in the house after the water had seeped out of them in that secondary sink. I'll put them on a rack in the house, stand them upright, lean them up against something, and they'll be on the rack, and then I'll put a fan on them. And the fan will dry them. They'll dry within 20 hours or so. They'll be dry. It'll either be a fan or a heater or something. Or sometimes if it's really hot out, I'll put them in the back room. And the back room, I'll it don't get as cool. And I'll have them dry in that room on a rack. And they'll just dry. I'll put the ceiling fan on or whatever. And they'll dry back there. And that's how I do it. And then they go in the bags and they go in my office. And I'll get usually I keep around 20 pounds in the house, no more than 20 pounds of pine needles in the house. because then it gets ridiculous. I mean, sometimes I was keeping like 30 pounds in there. And as long as I have them out here on these drying racks, if I have needles out on these drying racks, I could roll, and they went through the process of being washed and stuff. They can be rolled, and they could be bundled, and they could be sold, and they're done. So as long as I have them on the drying racks, I'm all right. I could always get more. Or if I have a good 20 pounds in the house, I could always go out for a couple hours, come home with 5 pounds. I mean, I go in the backyard here, go out on the other side of the lot over there, and I could get some. I get 5 pounds, and then I could run in and wash them up and get them drying and stuff, and then get them ready to go out the next day. So I've been doing this for a long time, so I try to get them out to my customer within a day. I don't leave the customer waiting. I'm not one of these guys that say, okay, I'll have them mailed out to you in 3 days from now because I got to go pick them and you ordered 10 pounds. No, I already have that 10 pounds. They ordered the 10 pounds, they're going out. I have them, they're here. And I have a method of getting them. I have spots. I have certain spots I go to, not only my backyard, my front yard. I have areas where I'll go where there's old trees and there's a large amount of needles. And if there's, for some reason, no wind or nothing, and I'm a little short on them here, I have spots I could go to and I could get them. But a majority of them come from here. But I do have other, I do have other honey holes besides my yard where I could get needles if needed. So, and when I started this, like I said, when I started this, I was doing 200 a month. I wasn't really selling them. It was just something I was experimenting. I was experimenting with it. And now fast forward 4 years later, from selling that $200, I'm selling between 80 and 120 pounds at $27 a pound. So I'm moving around $2,700 to $3,500 on up in pine needles alone. And then the other part of my business is doing the books. And the books, it's up and down. It's it's up and down, but it's good. It's solid. As long as you have a lot up there, you can sell the books too. And I do. I have a lot. I have over 1,700. And when they start dropping down because I'm selling them, I just relist and I get some more up there. And I go out and I search for them. And that's another thing I do. The thing is with the books, I got to buy the books. I buy them. I'll go around and I'll look in thrift stores and different places and I'll buy the books. I'll find books that are old and books that are collectible and books that I know I'm going to sell them fast. Because I have techniques of looking up to see how fast a book is going to sell. And then I'll know if that's a good book to buy. And I have boxes of books that I haven't even listed yet. Because I always have like 100 books set on the side, because when I'm selling, I can't keep running out to thrift stores. So I have them set on the side in boxes. And what I'll do is when I sell a bunch of books, I just start relisting the books as in the boxes. And some of the books are $10, and some are $50, some are $100. They're all over the board, depending on how valuable they are and how bad people want them. But the thing is, with the books, I got to buy the books. Now, with the pine needles, I don't have to buy them. The only thing with the pine needles, it's a lot of work. And you have to be able to do the work. But there's no money investment. Yes, I run a fan on them. I wash them with water out of the sink. I do pay a water bill. But there's no investment with the pine. And I put soap on them, okay? And I soak them in water with vinegar and soap. And I do buy the vinegar and I do buy the soap. And I pick them off my land here, and I do pay property taxes. So, am I buying the pine needles? But no, I'm not paying cash for these pine needles. I'm just going outside and I'm picking them. I'm picking them, and I'm bundling them, and I'm selling them. I'm like a farmer. I'm a pine needle farmer. There's farmers that grow grapes and oranges and whatever they grow. They grow tomatoes and potatoes and all kinds of stuff. Well, I'm a farmer too, but I don't grow them. They fall out of the trees, and I just pick them up. And they're pine needles, long leaf pine needles. But all right, guys, I'm not gonna make this a really long video. I'll show you my dog. Here's my one dog here, and the other girl is over here. Lassie, hey Lassie, how you doing? Oh, good girl. Candida. Okay, Lassie. All right, girl. They're the two girl dogs. You keep them in the back, and then we have two male dogs in the front. I mean, we do put them together, and we do walk them and stuff, and it's fun. Oh, these shingles here came from. I built the shed in the backyard, and I put them on the roof. And I redid my roof too with shingles, and I saved a lot of money. The guy wanted to. I did roofing back in the '70s. My father had a roofing business, and I did roofing, and I worked with a roofer years later. And I did my own roof. I wasn't going to pay somebody. They wanted $20,000. I did my roof. Cost me $4,000 in material. 2,100 square foot roof, big roof. And I did timberline shingles. Timberline lasts 35 years. That's what these are. These one on the shed did timberline too. And it didn't cost me nothing more than getting shingles, tar paper, and I got 2 skylights I put up in a roof. But it came out great. All right. I don't know why I'm talking about that, but let's, okay, so I'll see you next time, and over and out.